Nice welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This show is just a piece of shit. To episode 50, a very special 5-0. We have done this for far too long and truly need to stop. But we're not going to. So with me, as always, for the 50th time, and actually longer than that, because this show's gone through like many different incarnations. And it's been like 5 different shows with 6. Well, we've had lots of people, but two lovely people have remained, and that is LBSUTKE and moi. So LB, say hi.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back to the show.
You happy to be here?
Yeah.
50 episodes. It's a long time.
It's kind of cool. Been around for half the century mark, or
right, yeah.
Like you said, depending on the audio version, and then the audio version before that, and whatnot. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. We've grown, and the freeloader that keeps hanging on, we literally tried to get rid of him 42 episodes ago, and it's like he just shows up. It's like I don't know. That's terrible. Hitman, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on? I'm doing good. Number 50.
50-50.
Yes.
We're old folks now. We're old folks in the vidcasting world. We're talking about doing a little different things with formatting and stuff like that, but what we really love about our show is that we are focused on random topics in gaming. So, as always, we're going to stick to that, and I'm kind of putting this out for everyone else, for the 4 people that actually watch the show or download it or watch it later. What else do you want to see on this show? We want to be able to bring you cool content. We like the way that we banter with one another about video games. But, what else do you like? Do you like when we have guests on the show? What else do you want to hear about? Do you want to hear about Tool to Play a little bit more, the site, the community? What do you want to do? We're always going to stick to doing the one topic per week because we really like that format and we really like to kind of explore one thing and drill into it, as I say, for far too long. But if you have any other ideas, let us know. But before we get to that, let's do a little bit of the site news controlled by our big man, LBSUTKE. What's going on in the Tool to Play verse?
Well, we still have not yet heard from Wham Am for the results on the Tool to Play versus World Tournament. That's still in the pending status, so nothing really new there. Hopefully Wham hasn't killed himself in the 9 different hockey teams he coaches or whatever it is.
Totally.
Hopefully sometime before E3 we'll get those results out.
Or the next tournament, maybe? I don't know.
Right, that's true.
Pull it all together and fucking let's do one big one. I don't know. All right, so we're waiting on that. What else is going
on? The Tool to Play YouTube channel, thanks to our Canadian man, the man from the Great White North.
Man up north.
Has revamped the channel, made it look much prettier, segmented stuff out to more easy to find locations, easier to find videos instead of just a mosh posh of fucking videos everywhere. So great job, Hit. If you get a chance over there, check it out. Check out Hit's Quick Hits. You've got my how-to things for the site. You've got Duty on there doing something.
I'm doing stuff on there. Am I on there? Do I get a little playtime on there? Good for me.
Waterborne has
Waterborne.
his cultural series on there.
Series, yes. Yeah, there's a bunch of shit on there. It's kind of cool. I think you did a great job. So, and as always, our show appears on there. So if you want to follow us and you don't want to watch us live because we're super annoying live and it's really, really boring and you'd rather do something else with your time, you can always go to youtube.com/tool to play. And, of course, you can watch the shows as they've happened. All 50 of them if you truly hate yourself. If you're so bored and you have absolutely nothing else to do with your time, that's what you could do. So head on over to tooltoplay.com or head over to youtube.com/tool to play and you can check out all our shows. But if you are on YouTube, you must subscribe. That is now it's a requirement.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a requirement. We will no longer be friends with you or support you in your endeavors in life. Unless
the interwebs will collapse upon themselves.
This is true. Yeah.
And all you'll have left to watch is Glenn Beck and the Westboro Baptist Church.
Wow, that sounds terrible.
It's really bad.
No one wants to see that happen, so please go and subscribe and all that other stuff. What else is going on? Do we have anything else to talk about here, or what?
Well, Twitch TV is out of beta, so if you're a big Twitch person, you like to watch different streaming shows of anything under the sun for gaming, they've been in beta. And now they're out of beta, so you get this wonderful new look. You've got the larger viewing screen. It's got more of your channels that you follow on the left, so instead of in some places you really couldn't find your channels. You had to bookmark everything to go to it. But now you can go to the stuff you find, following channels. You can select that and switch over real quick. So it's a nice layout. It's a little bit more cluttered, but it gives you a lot more options. So it's a pretty nice little thing.
So what you're really trying to say is if you're currently watching us on Twitch, you should subscribe to the Twitch channel as well. Is that, I believe that's what you're trying to say to these people.
That is also a big thing. You could also subscribe to our channel, and that way it would be easier to find when you go back to Twitch because it'd be in your left-hand side under channels you follow.
Exactly.
And then you wouldn't have to watch Glenn Beck and the Westboro.
And that is the whole point here. We're just trying to save you guys from watching shitty stuff. You can always subscribe to us, and whenever you're bored, you come on over to Twitch. It's right there on the left-hand side. You see us. I feel like we're doing a fucking infomercial right now. Are we selling something? If you buy this vacuum right now, we'll throw in the... No, we won't. We won't throw anything in for free. Everything costs money here. So yeah, go on over to Twitch. I don't know if you're watching us now, you're already here. But if you're watching us later, head over to twitch.com or twitch.tv, /Tool to Play. And you can subscribe to the channel there. And also you get notified whenever we go live. So if you are bored and you get a little ring in your pocket, or if you have an iPhone or whatever, or you get an email, you can head on over and tell us we suck in chat, which is what everyone does. Right.
And plus with the new Twitch, everything like that, I also follow their support page on Twitter and stuff, and they've been doing a shit ton of updates and everything, a lot for your Apple iPhone stuff. They had a few hiccups in the road that they've kicked out a couple quick updates for. Now the rest of us Android people are still waiting for them to figure their shit out with that. They said they are working on with that, and hopefully that will be rolled out soon, where you can actually, I don't know,
sometime next year.
Sometime in the next 16 years.
Yeah.
That's how they do it over there. It's good stuff. What's the final piece of this puzzle?
The GUI name change. Send in your suggestions. Duty, where can they send that, or what are the parameters of that whole thing?
Well, you can send it in really however you want. You could comment in the forums or the podcast forums on tooltoplay.com and send something in there. Or you can always tweet it to us. That's usually the best way. You can tweet it to Dude I Rock or Derek Nolan. We're just looking for another names for the GUI cast. We're eventually going to make the GUI cast be a vidcast on Mondays. And we're trying to get some shows here on Tool to Play for everybody. So we want to try to do a Monday show, a Tuesday show, a Wednesday show, and just have a bunch of different content. So one of those things is going to be the GUI cast that Derek Nolan does with D Smooth, and I'm going to do it with him on Mondays. So if you have a name, we're looking for a name change, because what happens is there's a video cast already called the GUI cast. So we don't want to step on anyone's toes. So if you have a name for me and Derek, tweet it to us, shoot us an email, duderock@tooltoplay.com or duty@tooltoplay.com. That's fine too. And if we pick you, we'll give you some stuff. We have free stuff to give you. So why would you?
Now, is there any type of theme you want people to think about for it, or is it just wide open? Whatever.
It's pretty wide open, but we do get a lot of things that are like the Fuck Nuts cast and other things like that, which I actually love. But there's absolutely no way that iTunes would ever allow that. So they're pointless. So as long as you keep the profanity to a minimum, I don't really care what you call us. Call us a bunch of douchebags if you want. It doesn't bother me. You probably won't get picked, but you can call us that. It's fine. Doesn't bother me at all. So yeah, that's what we're doing with that. And like I said, if you have any ideas for shows, anything that you want to see Tool to Play to do in terms of video, let us know. We're thinking about maybe having a community night where we just stream live, and we just kind of play video games together. That could be another cool idea. So we're just trying to think of other ideas, things to do after work when people are bored that we can all do together. So that's cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff happening. Let's step on over let's do a little bit of gaming news before we get on to our topic this evening. What's going on in the world of video games right now?
Well, the Grand Theft Auto 5 box art was released. Well, not released. They were in the middle of painting it somewhere in Los Angeles, and everyone was freaking out. And then eventually Rockstar was like, all right, here's the poster. I don't know if this is major news. Grand Theft Auto is a really big title, but what I was saying in the show notes is, does box art really matter anymore? Do people care about the box art? Because a lot of people were freaking out.
Were people actually were they freaking out though?
They're oh, they're painting it, and they weren't even done. They were a quarter of the way done painting it, and people were taking pictures, and it was all over gaming news and stuff like that.
This is
that's what I don't understand. What controversy is it because they were painting it? That's what I You've
that
lost me on
that Rockstar didn't want to reveal it so quickly, even
Oh.
though they were in the middle of painting it. But
Oh, so they got their
uh,
panties in well because it got leaked type of
yeah,
thing?
not leaked, but just like everyone was like, "Oh, look, there it is," and like, "All right, here you
So
go."
they don't want people to see this box. I'm trying to get this story straight. They don't want people to see this box art, so they paint it. Is this correct? They don't want people to see it, so they show it because this kind of doesn't sound like the
It was.
best.
I think they
method.
were just more waiting for the painting to be done, and then here you go, there it is. But everyone was like, "Oh, look, there it is. We can't wait 3 more days for them to finish. What does it look like?"
Uh,
I
so
don't know.
it's more like they wanted to release it on their own terms without
Right.
Yeah,
sneak peek or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
yeah.
That's bullshit. I don't even care about this. No one cares about this next fucking gaming news story. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
You guys know Telltale?
We do.
Yeah, the Walking Dead guys.
Yes, we
Apparently,
do
they're
know
doing
this.
a Poker Night 2, launching later this month.
Weird.
I know.
They're doing a
I
poker
didn't even know there
game?
was a one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a one? Is this like
Apparently.
that movie back in the 80s or 90s, Leonard Part 6? Does anyone remember Leonard Part 6?
Yes, I do.
I know you
That
do.
was with Bill Cosby?
Bill
Was it?
Cosby, Leonard Part 6. Telltale Games is doing the same thing with Poker Night 2. There was no Poker Night 1, and there was no Leonard Part 1 either. I'm just putting that out there. All right,
Apparently,
so,
you get to
know,
like play with like video game characters, like guys from like Borderlands 2 and GLaDOS and Sam and Max. I've never heard of this before.
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't matter. Telltale makes, in my mind, Telltale makes one game. That's Walking Dead.
They have a nice art direction, though.
They got a nice art direction.
They do. They do.
Yeah,
But I mean, Leonard Part 6 had Bill Cosby. What'd that get them?
that's
That's
true.
all I'm saying. I'm just
And
gonna,
my pudding pops.
I'm gonna keep going back to Leonard Part 6 for the rest of the show, in case you want to know. So we're just gonna keep referring to that until it's over. So what's with this dice thing though? Because this dice news is actually interesting
Yes,
to me.
this
So
is an
let's talk about the
interesting
dice
one.
news. What's going on with that?
DICE is said to be very interested in esports support for Battlefield 4, according to a general manager at DICE.
See, I find that interesting because I always felt like it wasn't an esport type of game. I mean, it's
Yeah, see,
Maybe they
I'm kind of with
realized.
you on that too, because I'm thinking about how just of the typical tourney format and everything like that. It's not a big map format. So if you're like, oh, so and so is in the jet and flying around, shitting on plot A or whatnot, I just can't see that being a big draw. You know what I mean? Unless they're going to go to a smaller close combat situation and put it forth that way. So it's kind of weird. I kind of want to know where they're going to be going with it.
I guess that's my big thing. I mean, you're a resident competitive gamer here. Well, at least I'm making you that just for the segment.
Sure.
So do you think that even matters? Like, I just don't see, first of all, I have to agree 100% with LB. I think having the whole thing with Battlefield for me is this big team battle. It's like a big team battle game. Like, that's what it's built on. Huge battlefields. I don't feel like as an esport that can actually relate because there's just too much fucking shit going on. People are too spread out and, it doesn't really lend itself well to that high intensity, close quarters combat like you get in Halo and other games. Is there any way that they can fix this with the new Battlefield, or are we going to see it be more like Call of Duty?
Well, in Battlefield 3, they released that one DLC, Close Quarters,
Right.
which shows that they know how to make small maps. And I could see them introducing more. They may have been thinking, oh, we didn't release enough. We got to make sure we change that for Battlefield 4. Who knows? But the only thing about this article that I find interesting is the fact that they are, what's the word? They're acknowledging esports.
Right.
Like, that's something that 343 didn't do. They didn't come out and saying, yeah, we'll gear this towards esports. Like, I'm glad that at least DICE is saying it, rather than Halo 343 not saying
Right.
anything.
The fact that they're actually acknowledging it, I guess,
Yeah.
is a step in the right direction.
That's the only, step in the right
Yeah,
direction. That's
right,
the only thing I found interesting about this.
No, that's true. And I think a lot of games have kind of gotten away with that in the last, because everything's kind of going this like casual route, which is what everyone kind of says about 343, that, now they're just sort of like trying to play to the lowest common denominator and get them to buy their game, where it's nice to see. I've always thought of Battlefield as like a hardcore FPS. I really have. So it kind of makes sense a little bit for DICE to come out and say this. I just never thought as an esport it really lent itself very well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with it, because it is a great game. I love Battlefield. I actually like it more than Call of Duty, but I just don't know in terms of competitiveness if it really falls the same area as things like Call of Duty. I don't even think Call of Duty is a good competitive game. I really don't. As an esport, it always made me feel like, how could you even balance that? Because everyone's got all these fucking perks, and it's just any asshole who wants to spray an SMG is going to get a kill. I don't know. I just don't like that stuff. I like the very methodical sort of stuff that you get with Halo. And in fact, when Halo added all the perks and stuff, I felt like that took away from that sort of competitive. Everyone starting with the same gun to me is really important, I guess, is what I'm coming down to. I want an equal, balanced
Battlefield 4 could be like that. We don't know. Well, the one thing about Battlefield 4 is different from all other shooters is the destructible environments. In a competitive scene, I could find that interesting.
That's true.
Rather than the Call of Duty where like nothing's destructible.
Right, and you can kind of have call outs, people break down buildings and kind of like pull people
like
out.
If guys are camping the base, you can blow up the base walls and just charge.
No, I agree that will be interesting. So what's this other stuff? What's going on with the demise of console gaming, which I have proclaimed for the last year and a half?
Well, the COO of Electronic Arts says that even though gaming is growing, gamers continue to show enthusiasm for core titles on gaming consoles. By the way, a side note, Peter Moore probably going to be the next CEO of EA.
You actually believe that?
I've heard he's next in line. Basically, like they've bred him for this job. I'm sure that's what they told him. Like when he left Microsoft, like, hey, if you leave, you can work your way up to CEO eventually.
Is it just me, or does that sound like a horrible idea? I mean, I know Peter Moore is the type of guy who's like, every time he talks about like doing anything, he's a great hype machine, which I get. Maybe that's what they need, but
yeah, he's the face guy.
Yeah, he's a great face guy. I mean, I give him credit. When he built what he built with Xbox Live, he did a fantastic job. I mean, we all play Xbox more than anything else. So, but I don't know that he's the one to take. I feel like EA needs less face time and more like business sense at this point. But I mean, I could be wrong. That's, I mean, so basically they're saying that console gaming is not dying. Is that what you're telling me from the story?
Yeah, basically, which is a good sign that someone in high up is already saying that.
But I don't know. Wouldn't it be weird if he wasn't saying that? Like, isn't this what they're in the business in? I just feel like, I don't know. Console gaming
but they've asked other guys and they're like, yeah, no, console's dying. Like, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Epic has already said we're out. Like, they've been closing up all their game studios. They're only working on engines and mobile. That's all they're working on. So, and I'm not sure if they've come out publicly and said, you know what, console gaming is dying, but others have said it. So I'm glad that a big company like EA is not saying it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from, but I think the problem is gaming in general is on that downslope. So it's hard to really pinpoint like what hardware isn't doing well. I just think a lot of people are closing their doors because games in general aren't selling. We've reached this sort of boiling point where there's too many games to play and the innovation isn't there, and people don't have the money to buy games every fucking day anymore. And at the same time, every game that you buy now, they're trying their best to keep you involved in that game. They're doing DLC, and you just don't have the bandwidth to buy these games anymore. Like the mental bandwidth just isn't there. So I mean, while I agree it probably isn't dying, I don't think anything's dying. I think we read a report. Derek had a report yesterday on the show that it's up 33% in general, just game sales and stuff like that. So. I mean, obviously, it's still a growing market. I just don't know if that's going to... I think we're going to see that merger finally of hardware, where PC and console really are going to start to get really close together. I think you're kind of seeing it with the PS4. Obviously, if Steam does their thing, that will be the biggest realization of that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't count anything out at this point, but things are not great in the world of video games right now. There's not a lot of people playing them, I feel like. Maybe they're making money, but... You look online, my friends list ain't full. And I know my friends list ain't full because I'm not even going online to check whether my friends list is full. That's what I know. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so this week's topic, and I guess it kind of relates to what we've been talking about in the news. We were talking about it last week, and we've always done reviews on Tool to Play. We've always done what we call peer reviews, which is like we're not famous writers. We're not sponsored by anything. No one's giving us money. We're doing reviews because we like video games and we do reviews. And the question we were asking was, does anyone read these reviews anymore? Has the world of game reviews kind of become obsolete now that we have video, and really companies themselves are pushing their content out more than ever? They're not waiting for the reviewers to review the game and actually do articles. They're on Twitch themselves. They're holding press conferences. They're having cons all across the United States to show their wares. Do we need game reviews anymore? And if we do, in what fashion do we need game reviews? And the reason I bring that up is we do what like I said, we call them peer reviews. And it's more of a one-on-one talk with the community of how we think the game is. But it's not the same as sort of like an IGN or a bigger company where people used to wait for those reviews to come in to see the numbers. And it used to be like, I'm not going to buy this game if it's not an 8 point whatever, or something like that. And you trusted those reviews. So I guess the question is, do you guys still check reviews yourselves for games, or do you no longer care about the reviews? And if you do, what types of reviews are you most interested in? R type or the video type or what? So LB, what do you think right now about video game reviews? Do they matter?
Personally, I think they matter a little bit. I like to, I'll check like a Joystick review or a Kotaku review or kind of just a couple different sites, just because I kind of feel they might have a little bit more trustworthiness. And that's my big thing. It's like, who do I really believe? And some of the other like really big sites, I'm just wondering if they're doing it because, maybe they're getting a little side money or a little extra attention from big publishers and that kind of thing. So they give extra ratings, stars, points, or whatever the hell they do. They may bump it up a little bit because they don't want to, like piss off the overlord, so to speak. So it's really hard. I'm kind of really cynical when you look like at a Metacritic review, even though they take other reviews, combine them together, and come up with their magic sauce. There was another article that, I'll talk about a little bit later that kind of shows what kind of bullshit rating system they have. But I just don't know how far I can trust that because, here's the game, we want you to review it, and oh, by the way, why don't you come out to our release party? We're going to throw you up in Cancun and get you hookers and blow.
I want this. What game is this? I want to review this game.
I think I'm a little bit of conspiracy theory there, but at one point, do you have that separation? Where can you truly believe, like, is there a site or anything I go to where you can believe, like, Consumer Reports?
Right.
You in the old days, whatever, back in the day, you could go to Consumer Reports and be like, oh, hey, they said this washer was really good, Best Buy, and you could truly believe it because they weren't getting kickbacks or anything. I don't think I can point to any review site and feel that same way.
Right. And games are, and the other question then is, games have now become more art than anything else as well. And the gameplay, not that it takes a back seat, but it's very subjective whether people like games now as well. And so what do you think, Hit, overall? Like, do you still check reviews? Where are you going to get your knowledge about a game before it comes out? And if it's reviews, where do you get those reviews from?
Well, I first started off with the reading reviews, IGN, all the way back in the day, elementary school kind of thing. Worked my way up, and as I've gotten older, it's more video and audio, like podcasts and stuff, where I get my gaming reviews from. I find that written reviews just can't explain reviews better than like a video review or a podcast where like a group of people are talking about a game. Those two are the ones that I use now mainly. I find they're way better. You can hear people talk about their experiences in a podcast or whatever, and then with a video review, you get like the first like the 2-minute video where they're just telling you this is what you're gonna see, blah blah blah. This is what I like. To go buy this game. Like 3 minutes. I don't have to spend 20 minutes reading a full article. So yeah, that's me.
Interesting. So do you think, and I guess this is kind of where I started to dip off from reviews too. Because personally, myself, I don't read any reviews. Sometimes I'll read a review, but usually it's after I've made a decision on a game, and I just kind of want that feedback of, like, okay, I've made a decision to play this game, and it's almost like I go to read the review to let me know that my purchase is worth doing. Like I've already made the decision. It's almost like I want them to tell me it's okay. Like, no, it's okay. You should buy the game. Which is weird because it used to be beforehand you'd sort of search around and try to find something about a game because it was hard to get that information. And I'm wondering if it's now because of the fact that everyone's got a blog and everyone, in fact, is their own reviewer, if that's why that's kind of a dying breed. Like LB brought up Metacritic. A lot of times what you'll notice on Metacritic is when they're scoring against what we call like the industry reviewers, the guys that get paid, that's their job, they review video games. And then you score that same score against the users who just log into Metacritic and vote themselves. There's a huge disparity, and they almost don't relate to one another. And I remember when Diablo 3 first came out, it was actually scored really high on Metacritic. I think it was like a 9.2 or something. And the user reviews were like ones and twos and like 0.5s and all that stuff. And it just was like, they murdered it. And so the question then is, who's telling the truth? And I think, I don't know if it's that peer reviews are better to actually look at, because there is always a lot of like people that are just pissed and they have nothing good to say about video games. But it seems as though what's kind of happened now that we have so many people blogging is that these aggregate things like Metacritic end up just giving it this bland rating because everything gets mushed together and you don't really have a strong voice there. So, I mean, I guess, how do you feel about Metacritic? I mean, you were talking about Metacritic earlier, Albie. Do you think a site like Metacritic that does that aggregation, even that feedback that you get, is that even useful to get like sort of the world's view of a game? Does that help you in any way?
Well, it's two different things. One, when you have a review, these guys are going to get it when generally there's not going to be a lot of people on the network. So if you have any network issues or bandwidth issues, they're not really going to get hit with that, so they're not going to give you a good read on that. Two, what Metacritic, or what one professor from Full Sail University says, is they did a study where they were trying to break the code, the secret code, or however Metacritic aggregates all the information. And basically what they were able to do is for like a 6-month period, they think they nailed it. And they were able to find out or surmise that you have a bunch of the reviewers that they're weighted differently than other reviewers. And I'm not just talking professional reviewers to you and I reviewers. You're talking like Joystick compared to IGN.
Right.
And, and then it comes to a point of like, well, why are they getting higher, weighting, maybe because they're bigger and that kind of thing. And it's just, I don't know if you can really trust them. And they don't have real life playing it. It's like with Diablo, like you said, you saw those great review beforehand, but then you had like beta guys out there that were like, what the hell are they talking about? It's crap.
Right.
So you're wondering if they're just testing it in this sterile environment on this LAN network with 4 other people. It ran great if you were doing that, and it's a lot of fun. But then you come to release, and it's a giant crap storm.
Right.
So you don't really know. You know what I mean?
So I mean, is that what we're saying? Is that really these reviews aren't useful? Because then it kind of points more towards the peer review stuff. I mean, we should probably get into that because this is what Tool to Play is all about. Hit, do you have something to say about that? Because you look like you're ready to burst.
Something that LB said about you can't trust those guys. For me, I've bounced around several gaming sites. Giant Bomb, Tool to Play, IGN. I can keep going. I listened to a shit ton of their podcasts back in the day when I first got an iPhone. And I've not grown accustomed, but I understood everyone's what's the word? Tastes in games.
Right.
And over the years, I've dwindled it down to just IGN and a certain podcast and Giant Bomb. Those guys I find I can relate to. So when they give their opinion of a game, it's related to what I think.
Right.
So that's why I believe them. I don't think you can just go to any random site and be like, all right, I'm going to take the score that they're giving me because I don't know who these guys are. For me, is I know who these guys are, and I trust what they're saying because I've known them for so long. So that's my input and what LB was saying.
Interesting.
It takes research. You got to know what sites and people to believe.
Well, and I think
or
that's
relate to yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem. Is I think back in the day there was a very few writers, and so you had a writer that you might like, and you like the way he reviews games, and so you'd get into it. But now you have so many sites and so much media outlet out there that you really can't make that informed decision. And that, to me, not to toot our own horn, but that's why I think the tool to play thing works well. Not just tool to play, but any peer review site where you ask a friend, and they might actually be like your best friend or even a friend at all, but you trust them on some level before they even write that they're going to give you a review that's honest or at least an opinion that you can either disagree with or agree with. And I think that's kind of where we're at now with reviews is we kind of have to filter down all the bullshit and get to either a reviewer we like or a community we like to actually like that news or believe it and, put some trust in it. Because you're spending $60 on a game now, you can't go in blind. And like I said, they give you plenty of tools not to go in blind, right? Because we've got, the Twitch channel stuff that people are doing, not our stuff, but like developers themselves. We've got the cons they're doing. They're doing their own interviews with they do like a lot of developers now. They'll go on junkets where they just go community site to community site, just answering questions. And it's not nearly as like, oh, what's this game about? They're really giving you like a hands-on approach to buying their game before a review is even needed, before a beta is even out. So what do you think about the peer review system, LB? Is that something that you use yourself, or do you not even? I know plenty of people, and there's nothing wrong with it, that don't even look at the reviews on Tool to Play. I do, but it's because I have that connection with the people that are writing it. I've hung out with Sarcasmo at the LAN, and it's like he's a funny guy, and I want to know what he thinks about a video game. So I want to read that review, but for someone that doesn't know him or know Tool to Play, it might not matter. So, do you use the peer review system yourself, or where are you at with that whole peer thing?
I'll use it if it's a game I'm definitely like holding back at. I like what our reviewers do because generally their review is coming out not the day before the release of the game. It's coming out after, and they've had time to actually play it. They've had time to experience the possible release bugs or issues. So, we're going to hear about those issues and, before spending $60. On AAA titles, I'm kind of rolling the dice. There are some that I know I'm going to get. You'll see the Twitch review. 343 did something on Twitch. COD did something on Twitch. But now to me, it's almost, again, it's smoke and mirrors because they're playing on the closed system. They're showing you the pretty. They're showing you the perks. But how is it really going to work? So it's really hard to trust anything from a developer. And I like what we kind of do, or even some other stuff. So when they do it, or they do a follow-up review.
Right.
So like BioShock Infinity, excuse me. I was thinking about getting it, and then I saw some of the early reviews where these guys were like basically whacking off to how great the game was. And I was like, well, all right, so they really like it. Maybe there was just like, wow, I watched Adam Sessler. I really like Adam Sessler.
Me too.
So if he is like pitching a tent over a game and he's, almost wants to bang the game, then it's, it's something I really want to look into. But I don't know. It's really hard for me. AAA titles, I roll the dice. Other stuff, I kind of like our review system or a few finite people that I'll look into.
Well, it's funny to bring up Sessler because, he's one of the few people, especially in this industry, that somehow has maintained enough integrity where he shits gold whenever he talks about video games. And that's a rarity. I can't think of very many other people other than him, except for maybe, and now his name is escaping me, the guy from Giant Bomb who left to start Giant Bomb. There's a very few people that actually have that power and still maintain that power with all the reviews that we have currently. So there are still, I think, those reviews out there that really hold water, but it's far and few between now because, like you said, we've got so many other things going on. It's really hard to sort of sit down and focus on one review. And another thing you brought up, which I think is a great topic about whether they're useful or not, is now, I mean, most of the time, everyone's trying to beat the other media outlet to the punch. They want to be the first to have that game review out. So a lot of them are under the same NDAs, and they get a game, let's say, on a Saturday, and the game releases on a Tuesday. Now, they have to ship that game to their writer, unless he's in-house. If they're lucky enough to have him in-house, it goes straight to him. But they've got to ship that game to the writer. The writer's then got to play that game all the way through, you assume, beat it. And now if there's a multiplayer component, first of all, who's he playing with online? Very few people. The servers aren't even up, generally speaking, for those people. And then you get a review on Tuesday. So can you really, I mean, is that maybe part of the problem? Is that we're expecting these big companies to test and play a game in a 24-hour period and let us know how it is? I mean, is that maybe just that's kind of the nature of the beast now, and we just have to forego and not pay attention to any of those reviews until we get that 2-week mark? What do you guys think about those reviews? Those like on the day reviews?
Bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, exactly for what with Hit too, because like you said, they're given 2 or 3 days to play, 8 to 10 hours of campaign. If there's any multiplayer, you got to squeeze in what you can, and hopefully, you get 10 levels out of it, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And you're supposed to make this judgment. You're supposed to inform people off of your crammed-in session of limited exposure to everything. I think, they're trying to do a job. I get that. I'm not hating on you. You're doing what you're supposed to do. But, you got to piss out all these reviews, and you got to get them out. And if you only got 2 or 3 guys in-house to get a lot of games, and if you're coming up on the big, like, say, Christmas season, you guys are going overlord. You're like, oh, shit, I'm going to take Adderall and crank for the next 72 hours so I can do 14 different reviews. No,
So what do you guys think is a good amount of time to review a game? And we've actually got Sarcasmo in chat. Let us know, what is a good time frame to actually review a game? Because I think that's important. I think when you're playing a game, especially multiplayer, which now has really become what games are about, especially within our community, I think that is a necessity to really have that time. So Sarcasmo is saying 1 week. I mean, what do you guys think to really digest a game and know how good it is? Hit, you do the quick hits, so I think that's important. I mean, what do you think about your time frame?
Well, let me rewind 1 second to that comment I made about it being bullshit. The reason why I think it's bullshit is because the bigger companies like IGN and whoever else, they get the game weeks, not days, weeks in advance. Mm-hmm. Like BioShock Infinite, they got like BioShock Infinite like 3 weeks before it came out. They gave them all that time to play the game. At least 5 people on staff had fully beaten the game, like for review, for guides. And they were talking about it for weeks on the podcast, like, oh, I can't wait to talk about it, blah, 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 blah. It's the little guys that get screwed, like Tool to Play and whoever else, Giant Bomb and those guys. They don't get the games in enough time. Like, 1 weekend is not enough time. For me, myself, to do a video review, I need at least a week. Like, at least a week. Like, for all the editing and playing the game, and if there's an online component, you got to be able to try to get good in review. That's one of the main reasons why my video review is only the first 1 hour of the game, because there's no way that I have enough time personally to play it fully, play every single feature, edit it all, blah blah blah, post on the internet. Like, it's just not enough time.
So do you play?
So I like the IGN model where they get it weeks in advance and stuff like that. But like, if it's a weekend review, like I know Dross has complained about doing the Halo reviews in the past. Like, there's no way to go a proper review in 3-4 days.
And that's what's happened to us. I mean, you mentioned Tool to Play. We've reviewed pretty much every copy of Halo that's come out since Halo 2, and we've gotten it early, which has been awesome. But we always get it on a Friday. We've got to ship it, and then by the time it gets there, it might get there on a Saturday. If we're lucky, I have to ship it obviously overnight. Maybe a Sunday, maybe a Monday. And that means on that Monday, he's got to play the whole campaign and do multiplayer. And there's just no way, and it sucks because you have a talented writer, but there's no way he can write. You can't fake it, right? You need to play the game. If you're going to give an informed review, you've got to really be involved and play the game. And it just kind of sucks. I don't know if there's, those games are, and I think that's why we do our reviews after reviews. We do that sometimes where we say, okay, especially for Halo, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll say, okay, we played the campaign. This is what we think about the campaign. In 2 weeks, we're going to give you a multiplayer review. And I think that works really well because like Plato's saying in chat right now, there's the early adopter syndrome where you don't know if the servers are going to explode. You don't know what bugs are going to happen. And in a shell, in a vacuum, it could play really well. If you're playing with 4 people and the server load is, a couple reviewers, maybe some devs, but realistically, there's no one else playing. Well, then, yeah, you're probably going to have a smooth experience. Now, here's 155 people or 155,000 people playing at the same time. This is what we need to review. This is where we actually get to, get down to the nuts and bolts and see if the game can perform. So, I mean, I totally agree. It's kind of a weird situation, but I don't know how else to really do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other bullshit. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I kind of, like you were saying, IGN, they may have a lot of time with some games, but it's like not everybody has that time, and it's not every game has that time as well. Like I follow some of the Polygons on Twitch, and I think his name is Aegis or whatever. He's saying all the time, he's like, look, I'm trying to get a goddamn review on this game. All right. And like Duty says, it's coming in on a Saturday, it's coming in on a Monday or whatnot. And he's have to cram through it. And he's like, oh, Jesus Christ, I've got to play this thing all through the night and get this out. So it's to think that a lot of these places have weeks to play the game. I think there's a lot of it's down to the developer, down to politics. What they want to kind of let out. Yeah, the politics. And it's a lot of hard bullshit to see. And what I would kind of like to see, or my ideal thing, is like Duty said, you have your initial campaign review, and then maybe 2 weeks into a multiplayer you have that. But then what I would also like to see is like maybe 30 days later, 45 days later, come back on a multiplayer review and be like, all right, I've been able to max out, and this is the bullshit I've run into, or this is what I really like, or this is what I don't hate, or what I really hate. So that comeback review would kind of mean something to me if I'm kind of waiting around, hanging around to purchase or make that $60 purchase.
Well, I guess that's my question then. Like, is it worth it? Are these like 2 week reviews even helpful to people? Are we so used to needing to know about these games right away that by the time that review hits the stage and a week has passed, we've already forgotten about the game and we no longer care about the review? I mean, it works really well, I think, for a game like Halo because it's so popular, and there will be some people on the fence with that. But is the post-mortem review or the review after the launch, is that helpful to anyone? Does anyone go looking for those reviews?
No, I would use Halo as a perfect example last year, sorry. Halo came out, and then a week later, Call of Duty came out. If you were to wait a week for that review to come out, like a full review, multiplayer and everything, it would be too late. People would already pick up Call of Duty and be like, forget it, you're last week's news. So yeah, no, in that instance, it's not useful. I always think the reviews got to come out like right away, as early as possible.
So that's
the one thing I hate about reviews are embargoes. They drive me nuts. If I want to know about the game like right away, I don't want to have to wait until a certain date to find out about a game. But that's another topic. But yeah, no, post-mortem reviews, if you wait too long, it could be too late.
So it's our fault, right? I mean, like that's what it is. It's our fault. It's not whose fault is it, right? We can't be mad. I mean, what do you think, LB? Is it our fault or no?
Well, I mean, it depends. If you're under, like Hit was saying, those embargoes and everything like that, what are you going to be able to do? You can't. You break embargo and then you're screwed. You're never going to get a review from that company again or dev or whatever it is. And you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. For the site, if we were really worried about it, and we wait the week or 2 weeks to get a review. It's not like all of a sudden we're going to attract 100,000 new members because they're like, oh, look, these guys waited 2 weeks to do a review. Will there anyone still be looking for a review after 2 weeks after it came? It's tough. And like I said, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
I'm bummed now. I'm super bummed. I'm just going to buy games blindly now. It's my new technique. I'm just going to throw money at a wall, and if the game's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. So then I guess the question is, what's the future of game reviews? Now that the internet is so prevalent, obviously, talking heads like us are up on the screen talking about stupid shit video games all day. What is the best place, or where do we see the information, getting the best information about a video game before we buy it? Because the truth is, they're still $60. They're not cheap, and I don't think they're going to get any cheaper. I think we can agree to that. And the way services are and DLC is now we don't just review the game, but we got to review the DLC that comes after the game. There's a lot more to it now. Where do we go for those reviews? Where's the best place to get information? I mean, I know we've all kind of beat it a little bit more into the ground than needed. We all have different places to go. But do you guys see a sort of one type of media or one type of review emerging right now that gives the best? We have Metacritics, we've got peer reviews, we've got the IGNs, the Adam Sesslers. Where is the best place? And if there isn't a best place, is it just trying to like consume all of this at once and we become our own Metacritics? What do you guys think?
That's where that's kind of what I kind of do. If yes, there's only a few sites I really like read the reviews at, but I'll skim reviews from a bunch of different sites, and if the overall consensus is that it sucks,
right,
then I'm like, okay, this is the game to stay away from, because if they're all saying it sucks, it's got to suck. And then if you're all, I almost take that more literally or more truth with that than if people are like, oh, the game's great, oh, we had so much fun with it. When you see too much of that, I truly wonder, is like, okay, well, is that really the case? Or is there something nefarious behind the scenes where, they're getting something to say that? I kind of take more into the negative than the positive.
Right. What about you, Hit?
Check my mic is on. Where it's going, I think it's going video. I really think video is gonna blow up even more than it has now. That guy that you said that left one up to make his own company, right. Giant Bomb, Jeff Gerstmann. That's all they do. They all do video. They know that video is the way to go, and I think that's the way it'll end up going in the future.
Right,
more and more video.
With video, you actually see the game play as you review the game, which is, I have to say, it's kind of helpful. I mean, there's something to be said about the written language and really describing how the game is, but there's no reason you can't do that verbally either while showing the game. So for me, I actually have to agree with Hit. I think video is a little bit of the wave of the future, and I know that that's probably not good for full review sites, but adapting to that, I think what I really like to see is written reviews that have videos embedded. I always like to see sort of, if you're more of a visual person and you want to see the gameplay, you can watch it, but if you want to read the review, you can also read it at the same time. And I think for me, a mix of those two worlds is probably the best. So if I was to bank on anything, I would definitely see a little bit more of the videos kind of coming up. At the same time, I think developers are doing a great service. I know, obviously, they're the ones hyping their own games, so you have to take what they say with a grain of salt. But it is nice to see these game developers becoming, I don't want to say like, they're not really celebrities. I mean, some of them are, like the Cliffy B's and stuff like that. They make themselves into celebrities. But at least they're getting out there in the public, and they're not hiding behind, a desk and developing the game. They're answering questions. They're going to game cons, and they're really promoting their game and talking directly to the gamer to sort of get the news out there. So for me, I think it's the same with everyone. It is really that crowdsourcing of getting everything together and sort of listening to it and then making your own informed decision. But it's nice to see these reviews kind of come from other angles than just the random guy you don't know on the internet writing about video games. So if you guys want to read kick-ass reviews, since we're going to end this segment and the show, go on over to tildeplay.com and you can read kick-ass reviews from Sarcasmo Jones daily. And it'll be the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. And if you guys were wondering, his reviews they're life-changing. They're the best reviews on the internet. Really. And if like anything that he tells you to buy, you just buy it. And then you have the greatest experience of your life. Mm-hmm. That's it. Simple.
I'm thinking about getting his gamer tag tattooed on my ass.
I have his gamer tag tattooed on my ass.
Oh, well done.
It's fantastic.
Damn. You guys are weird.
We're weird. It's a weird site. It's fucking weird. There's a bunch of weird shit going on. The Americans are weird. Thanks for coming out. Thanks everyone in chats. Sarcasmo, Plato, everyone who asks questions and has fun. It's been a good show. It's the 50th show. 50th show. Good stuff. Love it. LB, where can they catch you for episode 51? How can they shout out to you before that episode? Ask you questions.
Well, you can pretty much find me anywhere on the net or gaming site under LBSUTKA. You can find me at Xbox Live on that, Sony PlayStation, Twitch,
He's everywhere.
YouTube, here, wherever.
Hit 'em up, hits. Where can they find you?
On Twitter, you can find me at i6hitman. On Xbox Live, you can find me at i6spacehitman.
Ooh.
On PSN, you can find me as i6_hitman.
Goddamn underscore.
That's really great.
Raptor,
That's
you can
great
find me at
consistency.
i6_hitman. And I guess Twitch / twitch.tv/Watchtower Games.
Yeah, and then he just throws that one in there at the end.
Yeah.
If you weren't already completely fucking confused.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'd have searched from somewhere.
Someone was asking the other day in the forums, like, what is Hitman's thing? And it was a stupid underscore.
It's the space, dude. The space screws you. It's
Space,
underscore space. Ah.
Well, if you want to find me, I have a nice, clear, and concise tag. That's Dude I Rock, DOODIROCK. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. So, I don't know. Is there any Pinterest? I'm on Pinterest a lot now. I'm really not. I have no idea.
Instagram.
Really?
Instagram. What other awesome social networks are there?
You use Pinterest,
Foursquare.
really?
No, I don't use Pinterest. No, I don't. I do a lot of macrame, and all that's on Pinterest. So if you want to check out my macrame, head on over to pinterest.com/dude.rock. Check it out. Next week, we're going to do, what is our topic next week? What is it again? I can't remember.
Why always online games suck.
Right. Why always connected online games suck? I'm looking at you, SimCity, you fuck. Made me
Still
waste
haven't
all
played
my
that
money.
game since.
I know, it's terrible. Thanks everyone for coming out to the show. We do this every single Tuesday, 6:30 Central, or whatever time LB is and whatever time it is. I don't know what fucking time it is out there. What time is it out there? 2 hours earlier? You do this at 4? You do this at 4:30? LB?
It's 5:53 right now.
5:53.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, 2 hours early. You do it. You start the show at 4:30.
Right. 4:30 Pacific.
There you go.
6:30 Central.
7:30 Eastern. Nice job. We will see all of you next week. Thanks for coming out. LB does time. It's good stuff.
Yay.
All right. We'll talk to you guys
Later, everybody.
Peace out.
See you guys.